Day 234. So, normally on the weekends, I take Zane hiking to Walnut Creek Park. It's the one that I reference all the time. It's got a loop of about 2.8 miles, and I can usually add to it to get it up to about 4.5 if I do an extra climb and I do an extra round or two. Doesn't really have that much elevation. It just kind of exists. There is definitely elevation, but it's like you gain maybe 50 to 100 feet, and then that's it for the trail, unless you do loops or that type of thing. So instead of doing that, coming back from Switzerland, I was like, and going to Patagonia, I was like, I need to focus on elevation gain. And doing longer treks. And so I went out, or I went online and with the intention of finding some places. And so I found one. And I mean, finding elevation gain in the middle of Austin, or middle of Texas is not easy, right? I mean, you get some big climbs out in the west area of Texas, out in Big Bend country, but I'm nowhere near that. So getting a couple hills here and there that ultimately lead to a decent elevation gain, that's about all I'm gonna get. So I ended up going and getting donuts for breakfast, and then heading out to Bastrop County, to Bastrop State Park, which fairly decent sized park. It used to apparently be mostly forested, but I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, a fire rolled through Bastrop, and the state park got hit, and so the majority of the forest is no longer there. So the trail I ended up doing was called Lost Pines, where you go through essentially what is prairie land and the remnants of the old forest. And there are now, some pines growing, but they're, 3-4 years old. So it'll probably take another 10 or so years before they truly provide any shade. But Zane and I went. It was a different type of trail for him because he's used to being off leash, and I ended up getting one of those runner/hiker leashes, and so he was attached to me, and for the majority of the time he led. Sometimes he kind of fell behind because he was just tired. I brought plenty of water for both of us, and we ended up doing about 7.5 miles for a loop, and then overall we gained it. My phone says it's 12 stories. The online GPS trackers say you gained about 600 feet overall. So I don't know which one to believe. But either way, there was some elevation gain, but it was more just kind of rolling hills, if anything. So, there's nowhere where I, would be climbing and want to stop. Or I would get to a point where I'd, consider stopping, but I'd see the top of the hill and I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to finish off this hill. So got out there early morning, did that, came back, I had a burrito and then some French onion soup, and then crashed early, took a nap, and now I'm up again. And I'll go to bed soon enough and see what tomorrow brings. But yeah, I definitely probably would go back there, not during a summer day, essentially, because there's some shade, but not a lot. I mean, by noon, it was getting hot enough that I was like, I want to get out of here. And we finished off right around noon. So, a lot of these parks that I'm going to end up going to, they're an hour out. I want to make sure that I get to them before it gets too hot, because, I'm going to have to back off during the summer. So I'm going to go explore and do a couple other parks every other week, of course, and we'll see where this goes.